Welcome back, everybody, to the Derby City Fandom podcast. Today, we got quite a lot to talk about.
Ahsoka.
Yes, we are talking Ahsoka.
Space whales.
Yes. Well, they're closer to space squids, but they have a fun reappearance. I digress. A lot has happened just in the pop culture scene here recently. We've had Charles Martineau retire from being the voice of Mario. We've had frontman for Smash Mouth pass away.
Yeah, sad stuff.
And we've also had Jimmy Buffett pass. So
yeah, even sadder.
Sad couple weeks for music.
Steve Harwell.
Thank you.
Died at 56. What a young age, man.
Yeah, bummer.
I hope I make it there. We'll see.
We can hope. But with me being sick during our previous recording, we ended up having to push a little bit of the stuff back, so we have more Ahsoka to talk about than we would have.
That's correct. Talking Ahsoka tonight. First 3 episodes. We're recording this on a Tuesday, so here in about an hour, the new episode drops. But
Way to date the episode.
We'll be talking about the first 3, everybody.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Ahsoka. But before we dive into our basic thoughts of the show, should we do the scores?
Sure.
So Rotten Tomatoes, we're at a whopping 87%. And IMDb, a 7.9 out of 10. Y'all think that's high, low? What are your thoughts?
Well, with what has been released so far, I think that is really accurate. It is well done, but it does have some kind of fan grabs in there. Now, Jake, I want to hear your reaction because this is very clearly just a continuation of like Rebels and the 2008 Clone Wars animated show.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun episode because I'm going to be playing devil's advocate. Kenny and Colin have watched all the animated series, including Rebels.
Just about, yeah.
Kenny kind of mentioned before it was like 200 episodes among them all or something like that. I have never seen any of those.
I've seen every single thing.
You're right. Which, that's one thing, like when you're watching those shows, when they're just coming out brand new. I know you like to binge shows, but I like to kind of gradually go into it. I can't really recommend anybody actually watch the animated stuff just from square one if they want only to watch Ahsoka. Like, that's just too much investment.
I don't know, I beg to differ, but that's just my overall opinion. Maybe I'm too much of a fan, but, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with watching the animated series. I just haven't done it. And I'm going to be playing devil's advocate here because I haven't seen them, and I've really enjoyed Ahsoka so far, and I think it's been a fun ride. I kind of agree with the ratings Colin mentioned, 8.7. 8.7 seems a little high. 7.9 seems a little low. So I'll probably throw it in the middle there, maybe a 8.2, 8.3.
Sure.
But from someone who doesn't really know all the characters and all that, it's still been fun. It's still been a blast.
Yes. And maybe that's where I have some initial complaints, is that the end of Rebels, I had just shown Jake the scene for the first time where the Purgils, yes, the space whale squids that are able to travel at hyperspeed, basically just hijack the destroyer that Thrawn and Ezra both are on, and Ezra makes the sacrifice to make sure that Thrawn is dealt with, and basically the space whales break into the
ship.
The ship, but break out all the windows, and then they travel into space. So I find it hard to believe that the main theory that Thrawn is alive is actually correct. because they would have died in the vacuum of space the moment that
They would
left.
have been sucked out of the freaking ship. No, I agree with you, Kenny. Like, it's
But, I mean, I get
bullshit,
it. It's space magic. It's
but
space fantasy.
magic, or maybe it's like you're literally going so fast you actually can't be sucked into the vacuum.
Yeah,
of space.
but by that same logic, they'd all be a bunch of paste on the back wall.
That's also true. But it's Star Wars, man. It's fine. It's fine. It's all part of the fun. It's all part of the ride. I'm enjoying the ride.
It's part of the suspension of disbelief.
But I kind of want to jump in on where I think the scores should be, and I kind of want to lean towards what Jake had said, but more a little bit lower. I think I would give it an 8.1.
I think it's
most.
just an 8, yeah.
I think I'd probably stick with 8, to be honest. But the show, if you're just going into it and you're wanting a good ride and you're wanting to basically be in the Star Wars universe, this is a good show to absolutely just...
This is definitely the show for the fans.
With all the live-action Star Wars shows that have come out, for me, this will probably be in the top 3. But I could be wrong. All the episodes have not premiered yet. But Obi-Wan is definitely up there. Andor is definitely up there.
I was going to say, do you think this one's better than Andor so far? At least how it opened.
Interesting question. It's a different.
It's a different theme altogether.
Yeah, because
but it's still
from what I remember from Andor, it's basically suspenseful and intense, and basically an eye grabber from the very beginning. Whereas Ahsoka, there's a lot of character development, kind of pretty much, and character like introduction, basically.
right.
But in the first episode of Ahsoka, I mean, within the first few minutes, there's already a lightsaber battle going on. Well, not lightsaber battle, but lightsabers are used and kill a bunch of people on a ship.
Yes. So this is
I don't know. Ask me at the on the last episode how I
Sure.
feel about Andor and this.
like how the two, I guess, compare. But so this show is referencing all kinds of the old material, just even outside of like Rebels and the Clone Wars. So immediately we bring up the witches, the old like legitimate space magic as opposed to the Force.
Yeah. So we find out, spoiler, I guess, that Morgan Elsbeth is a witch.
Yep.
I don't think she's from Dathomir. I think because Dathomir, like, that's where a lot of them practice. But I think
that planet's
that's like the
well and
headquarters,
gone,
if you will. But they
the Night Sisters are still like.
But they also went
around,
from
air quotes
Dathomir to other planets, and they practice their witchcraft and wizardry
yes, swish and flick.
because they clearly had temples and shit
Yeah.
elsewhere, which is interesting. So, Jake, to give you a little bit of a background about the Night Sisters. So, the Night Sisters are on the planet Dathomir, which is where Darth Maul and his brother are from. What is his brother's name again?
Savage or Savage, whatever you want to call it.
Savage Opress. That's what his name is. So, the Night Sisters basically introduce Darth Maul and Savage to what's his name? Dooku, sorry.
Dooku. I'm blanking.
So basically they become like an apprentice to Dooku and trained in the Jedi arts, or well, the Sith arts, I guess.
Same difference.
Same difference. Anyway, so there's a whole thing there, but then that's when Darth Maul gets cut in half.
For the first time.
For the first time. And then is later found on a trash planet. He actually survives. Darth Maul survives.
Yes.
And we find that out in
Rebels.
Rebels,
Mm-hmm.
but also Clone Wars. I think we find that out in Clone Wars first.
Okay, because I know that Darth Maul plays a big part in Rebels.
He does, but also in Clone Wars. So anyway, found on a trash planet, he ends up getting we find him on the trash planet with like robotic spider legs. So he had like 4 legs, and then he goes over back to Dathomir, and they do some like
they fix him up.
Witchy shit, and make him walk on 2 legs again, and whatever. Yeah,
But
that's just a little backstory on the Night Sisters and Dathomir.
So Night Sisters, I guess, also. They're technically not Sith, but they most of their magic is definitely dark side.
What's
focused.
What's the woman's name? Mother Tarzan.
Tarzan? Yeah, I
Something
think that's
like
correct.
that.
Yeah.
She's the main woman
Yeah.
for the Night Sisters.
The main coven leader.
She's a crazy woman.
Yes.
But Morgan Elsbeth and Ahsoka, she is one of the Night Sisters. And we see that they go to... What's the planet called with all the red leaves? Do you remember?
Ceto? It begins with an S. Like SEET something.
Anyway, so they go to that planet, and there turns out to be that little temple there. That's
Yes.
where Night Sisters practice, and then they find the key or the little ball. I guess that's a
Star
key.
map.
Yeah, the whatever
Star
map.
map.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it's called. Anyway, they use that at one of the temples, and they find another galaxy. So that's basically where we're going.
Yes. That was the plot of the entire 3 episodes so far, summed up in a nutshell. But
we're introduced to some new Jedi. Well, not really Jedi anymore. We got
Jedi, yes.
Balin and Shin.
Shin, yes.
Basically survivors of Order 66, and they were former Jedi to then become mercenaries, I guess,
Yeah.
and work along Morgan Elsbeth and her whole spiel and what she wants to do and take over the freaking galaxy and whatnot, and
Yes.
help find Thrawn, I guess.
Yes, which is
All right, so I'm curious here. Kenny, you mentioned earlier that it's silly that General Thrawn is still alive, and I watched the same clip that you obviously you showed me. I don't see him die in that clip, so
Yeah.
like anything's fair game. I get that the windows were broken open, yada yada yada, but they didn't see. It's the same deal with Bridger.
but
But
yeah.
what would be the case for Ahsoka thinking that he's still alive?
Ahsoka is honestly a strong Jedi by this point, and is just kind of able through the Force to just kind of get like inklings, and through like the various echoes of the Force, like you see her like just walking to like Sabine's watchtower, and she's like here. You can't really tell if she's like actually hearing like the battle that had just happened like 10 minutes ago, like I guess in real time. But you hear like, the lightsaber dueling and whatnot, and the different clashes there. And she reacts like she can, like she feels like what had like just happened there.
Okay.
So part of me feels like, okay, she has like a general inclination, either just through Force or just because she's talented at what she does, that, okay, no corpse for Thrawn was ever found. But by that logic, also, no corpse for Ezra was ever found. So, in theory, both of them could still be alive somewhere.
In a different galaxy.
Right, but they don't know that yet.
Right. Well,
And the only reason I bring that up is I'm glad in episode 1 they kind of showed the rescue of Morgan Elsbeth by Skull, Balon, and the Shin. Right?
Shin, yeah.
I'm glad they showed that rescue because I think it adds like another kind of crumb for Ahsoka to kind of chase after. Because initially when I was watching this, I was like, all right, why does Ahsoka have any thought that Bridger or Thrawn would be alive, especially if they're like an entire galaxy away? So this seemed a little far-fetched. But like I was fine, like, all right, there's the Force, like maybe she feels that something's off. I get that. But I was happy that they showed the rescue because then it kind of takes the plot into that direction a little bit more, because like, hey, Ahsoka, sorry, you arrested this person, but they are now escaped, so we need to go after them. So it kind of connects it. So that helped me a lot in episode 1. That hopefully I'm not the only one, but it seemed a little far-fetched for me that like, oh yeah, Charles Thrawn, yeah, he's alive.
Yeah. Well, before like really seeing anything, my brain was just like, okay, if Rebels had actually like happened, I guess, and my crazy fan theory that okay, Thrawn died. Well, cloning's a thing, and that's just like the lazy writing way out of the problem. Is that it's just a clone of Thrawn?
Yeah, fair enough.
Don't even get me started on that. Freaking Darth City is such bullshit.
You see, that's part of it, and that's the unfortunate world we live in, is that because that technology in that particular instance in the plot had occurred, that means it can also, in theory, happen at any other time.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I don't think that's the case here. I think they did survive.
I hope
for
not.
whatever reason, they did survive. But at the same time, I don't think Ezra is still alive. We clearly see Thrawn. I mean, Thrawn's in the trailer,
Yeah.
but we don't see Ezra. The only thing we see of Ezra is a hologram.
Yep.
That's a recording from the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We'll find out.
We shall find out.
But so let's talk about characters. Like,
Sure.
who do you like? Let's start with Ahsoka, I guess, since that's the whole thing. Like,
She has the least amount of screen time so far.
Well, funny you should say that. I've noticed that as well. You've seen a lot of Hera more so, and
It's all Hera and Sabine so far.
Yeah. So let's start with Ahsoka first. My thing is the Rosario Dawson, she does a good job with playing Ahsoka, but at the same time, I'm not getting that like Snips vibe. Like in the animated series, her nickname is Snips. That's what Anakin called her because she always had like some kind of snippy remark or like witty remark or something like that. But in this live action, I'm getting more of like a pissed off, fuck you. Like I'm kind of getting like a pessimistic kind of vibe from her. Whereas in the animated series, she wasn't like
She's
that.
changed.
Clearly she's changed, but
Would you say matured?
Matured is probably the best word for it. Yeah.
but also like cocky.
Yeah.
I'm getting a cocky vibe from her because when she is on her ship and she's trying to train Sabine Wren and using the Force and like training with the lightsaber and whatnot, like when she falls down, Ahsoka's like standing over her, like again. But at the same time, Anakin did that to Ahsoka when they were doing their training too.
Right.
So, I mean, that was a literal, like, quote, let's do it again from the animated series to the live action. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of I have mixed feelings on Ahsoka, the character, right now. Yeah. What are your all's thoughts on Ahsoka?
I really like Ahsoka. I'm glad that they made her mature and kind of wiser, that she's kind of the older Jedi so she can play that role. But I think the show definitely needs that. And after watching the first episode with Sabine, I was like, man, this chick is just whiny and annoying. So I think it's a big contrast there of like the young and the bold and the stupid versus kind of the more mature and the older and the wise. Not calling Ahsoka old, but and in addition to that, I really like Ahsoka just because like they did a phenomenal job with her costume and her makeup, and I don't know what you call those little, I don't think it's hair, but like what her head is.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone.
The Montrals, I think they're called, but that thing, it looks
Oh,
awesome.
they have a different name, and I'm going to put it here in the video.
The appendages growing out of her head are freaking sweet.
Yeah.
You know that's not real, right?
I know. I was giving compliments to the costume and makeup crew for this show.
No, I'm just playing.
But yeah, like I mentioned, after watching the first episode, I immediately thought, man, Sabine, I cannot stand this character. I think she's very whiny. I hope she grows on me. But I'm glad that they have Ahsoka playing that more mature role to contrast that.
All right, let's jump into that. Sabine.
Sabine. Oh, Sabine. Okay, so
She was a cool pet. I like that.
yeah,
We're cat. Is it a cat or a dog? I don't know.
So
It's
Sabine Wren is Mandalorian of Mandalorian descent, and so I'm trying to go back as far as I can. So
she's a teenager that really enjoys graffitiing stuff.
with spray paint. So that's
That is your initial introduction.
That's
there.
her thing, and so that's why you see like her Mandalorian armor. It's always like spray painted, and it's not of typical Mandalorian fashion, but she is the way she is, and that's fine. So she, back in the day, she was a Darksaber wielder. So she actually had the Darksaber. Do you remember that from the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
So
she
actually
was
held
Mandalore for a while.
Yeah, so she actually was technically the ruler of Mandalore for a hot second. But then she ended up giving that away to Bo-Katan,
Yeah.
which you can't really do that. You have to win it in a duel or something like that, or you have to be defeated, essentially.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like a little what the fuck there. But anyway, she essentially is trained by Ezra Bridger in the ways of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
But
She's trained by Ezra Bridger, or was she the Padawan?
Okay,
of
so let's
Ahsoka?
back up. So
She has quite a
Kanan
few
Jarrus trained Ezra Bridger. Kanan
Yes.
Jarrus was a Jedi, is a Jedi, but he died. So he, before all that, trained Ezra in the ways of the Force, practicing and all that Jedi shit, right?
Yeah.
And then so eventually he kind of like passed the torch, if you will, for Ezra to teach Sabine.
Yes.
And so they kind of had it was a all right kind of training, kind of, you know.
Right, but it doesn't last.
It does not last.
Let me ask you this. So she obviously seems, lack of a better word here, obsessed with Ezra Bridger. So are they in love?
No, it's more of like a sister brother kind of a
Like a
thing.
sibling kind of. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. You have the internet up at arms with where that actually is. It's a fine line that I guess you can take it either way. But Ezra in the recording himself says that you're more like a sister to me. So that kind of just throws out all of the, like, you know, the fan shipments.
Okay. Fair enough.
Essentially. So yeah, this whole like Kanan taught Ezra taught Sabine. Now Ahsoka's teaching Sabine
For the first time.
for the first time. Yeah, it's
And
hard.
then-
It's hard to follow. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
But
Then
it's
Ahsoka
also-
walks away.
I'm sure I might piss some people off here, but like I mentioned, I haven't seen all the animated stuff and Rebels and Clone Wars. I haven't seen any of that. But just from a fresh face here, I think Sabine is probably the worst character. So
Shots fired.
Shots
have
fired.
been
Okay.
fired.
Well,
And
I
we'll
guess
leave it right
from
there.
what I've seen so far, Hera hasn't really added all that much, other than just being like the general. Like I'm going to progress the plot for the other two characters because they don't know what to do, and I have the, I guess, governmental power to kind of get away with bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. That you said that perfectly, Kenny. I think General Syndulla, right?
Yeah.
Hera Syndulla.
She's just there to kind of keep the plot chugging along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she
Although-
has her own backstory, and it's a little complicated to explain. Otherwise, this podcast is gonna be like 4 hours long.
They
Right.
spent some time. I know this is jumping into episode 2 here, but they spent some time, quite a bit of time with her son, though. Does
Jason.
he play?
Jason.
Will
Yes.
he play a bigger role?
So that's why I think it's 15, because it looks like in that episode he looks like 13 to 15 years old.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then in Rebels he was like, I don't know, maybe like
5
4 or 5, something like that.
because in the last episode of Rebels, where like the family reunions and farewells or whatever that
Right.
episode was called, like in the last like 8 minutes of the show, there's a time skip. It's like, okay, 5 years have happened between here and there. The Battle of Endor has occurred and the Empire is defeated.
Right.
Like, that is, like, something they say in the last episode. In that moment, you also find out that Hera's had a child with Kanan?
Kanan Jarrus.
Yes, Karen Jarrus. They have a son, and he's in the co-pilot seat, hanging out with Mom. And so he's like 5 or so years old in that, so...
And that's why I think it's funny when he says, I want to be a Jedi, Mom. And, you know, when I heard that, I saw like a reel or something where like that little clip, and then there's like a little flashback of like basically Kanan and all of his training with Ezra and then Hera and all that. Like, I kind of got that flashback when he said that, like, I don't think you really want to be a Jedi, buddy, because there's a lot of shit that went down leading up to your birth. So you saying that to your mom, like,
might not be the best idea.
Her facial expression, like, seems sincere, and like, I know you do, son, but like, she does not want that for him. I know she does not want that for him at all.
Most parents didn't. Most Jedis were abducted as kids before they could form any family attachments.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. And that's why, so to jump back on Sabine, Jake, I agree with you. Sabine is not my favorite character at the moment. She does seem like a little whiny bitch. But at the same time, like when she's like learning how to use the lightsabers and training with Hugh Wang or whatever the robot's name is.
You were right.
She's just sitting there at the table, and like she's trying to use the Force to get the cup, you know? Mm-hmm. In one hand, like, yeah, it shouldn't be that easy. That cup should not have moved. But at the same time, part of me was like, all right, come on, Dave Filoni, just like
a little
tilt
like
the
a little
cup.
wiggle.
Like, it doesn't have to come to her all the way. Just like wiggle or something to that effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, give us some kind of hope that maybe she's like trying to bring her walls down so she can be open to the Force. That's essentially what's happening, is that she's not open to the Force. She's not willing to accept what needs to happen.
Well, yes and no in that category, because Hugh said it himself. It's like, of all, like, in my 5 centuries that I've been like watching over the Jedi's, like building lightsabers for them, you clearly have the least amount of Force powers out of anybody I've ever met.
I really like Hugh Yang, the robot, the droid. Sorry, Hugh Yang.
It's something like that.
Yeah, I really like him. Jumping back to Sabine for a moment, I think that's another reason why I don't like her, and I think it's from my perspective, the show, it's a little repetitive when they're doing the whole training thing. And I could be wrong. You guys can disagree with me here, but I'm just going off my initial gut reaction from the episodes. And it's like, I've been there, done that, and it was kind of cool and fun. You know, they're playing back off to the training session from the New Hope. But I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm here for some fucking lightsabers and some battle scenes. It's like, it's just a little boring and lame. It's like, after
It's
even
dragging.
watching,
That's what you're saying. It's
yeah,
dragging.
like, you know, Mandalorian was kind of like that. Oh yeah, it's training, and you know but it's dragging along a little bit. And it's like, I'm a little nervous that the rest of the season's going to be Ahsoka training Sabine. And I'm like, oh, man, I just want to see them fuck some shit up and kill General Thrawn or whatever. But
do you think you would have a different opinion if the show was called like Ren as opposed to Ahsoka? Like, if the main character, I guess the main title character was not like the actual Jedi in this case, but the person becoming the Jedi or training.
I think it'd be better fitting for it.
Just from what we've seen so far, I would have to agree with you. Like, this is definitely the Sabine show so far.
Yeah, it's annoying. I don't think I'm a fan of it. So I'm hoping. I guess I was looking forward to it. Like, that's one thing about Mandalorian's. Like, it's him out on an adventure. Like, Grogu was there, and they did some fun training in between. But I'm a little nervous.
It's all him.
Yeah, it's like his adventures, man. It's like he's the fucking James Bond, the Indiana Jones, the whatever, you know, pick your poison. But I'm like, man, I really was looking forward to seeing Ahsoka because she gets talked up so much that I want to see her be a badass. I don't want to see her sitting on her ship training this whiny brat for half the series. I could be wrong. I don't know. How do you guys view it?
I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. The problem is most of Colin and I's outside of, I guess, the Mandalorian stuff. Like, she's like a snippy teenager that can go blow for blow with Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, that's what I want to see, man.
I mean, we will.
I hope it comes.
We will. But he is going to be in the series, but it's going to be more of like a flashback. It's not going to be modern time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But God. Anyway, I'm over that. Let's talk about some more entertaining characters that I wish that they would bring to the screen more often. Is probably one of my favorite, if not favorite, robots, and that's Chopper. Sorry, C-3PO sucks. R2 obviously was a favorite of mine leading up to Rebels.
Yeah.
And then Chopper, having literally killed thousands of people on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And he has an attitude, and him and Hera's relationship basically is phenomenal.
Yeah, they play off each other super well. The fun aspect of droids, Jake, in the Star Wars universe is if you don't wipe their memories every so often, they start developing personalities.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why, But Chopper, I definitely want more Chopper, for sure. We need to have more Mon Mothma, because I thought she was really fun to watch in Andor. I actually enjoyed that little side plot that was going on. She has definitely more of a bigger story plot line, if you will, in the whole Star Wars universe.
Right. Although she's
especially like
mostly after this is where she plays like the most, I would say.
No, I'm sure, but generally speaking, like Mon Mothma plays a pretty big role in not just Rogue One, but Rebels, Clone Wars, Andor, all of it.
They've given her quite a bit of time. I mean, not a bunch, but they've spoken to Mon Mothma a couple times now, right? Kind
of. Just in Ahsoka, just the one time where they had the little meeting, right?
Yeah. There's some politics going on in the background, so I'm sure she'll be back.
Oh, she will.
To answer your Chopper question, I'm sure they're going to be showing a lot of Chopper because Disney needs to sell those
toys.
Sell those toys.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Geez, but there's a lot of like the fun references there too. You see, I guess the first time I remember in live action that they actually talked about the HK assassin droids.
Yeah.
Refresh my memory. Which ones are those?
Well, so the HK stands for Hunter Killer, but they are assassin droids, and we see those droids attack Ahsoka in the first episode. The ones that have the massive self-destruct bomb in their chest.
Yes,
that is a feature that they have carried over since prior to the Republic. Back in the old Republic days, these things have been around.
Yeah, they have.
Love that.
They're really effective most of the time.
Scene. Yeah, see that. The series started off strong, man. I mean, they should have kept that going.
Yeah, but it's like you have like the star map being very similar to how they've done it in like the different video games. I think they've done it in the latest, like the end of the Rey Skywalker series.
Yes. Yeah.
You see a little bit of it there. The Eye of Scion.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's going to be fun. I want to see more of that. Scion's one of my
I have Scion.
Sion.
I know. I was being an asshole.
Yeah, I know, but a guy that I like to call Krusty Boy from the old video games because he's basically held together by like paper mache, and he has like one big glass eye.
What character is that?
He is one of the Sith Lords in Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords.
Okay.
I cannot wait to learn more and see like this whole Eye of Sion thing.
Like what all it does.
Yeah, what all it does, and this hyper jump gate. That's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to all that. I mean, partially, probably I'm biased because of the giant whale / squid, whatever. But even that part of the plot was so much fun to me because they were talking about, yeah, we got this giant gate and you can jump galaxies. All you gotta do is some smart person in the universe said, hey, these
Follow the whales.
follow the whales, man.
So,
And, like it's brilliant, man. I love it.
Jake, speaking of that, so two things really. Let's talk about this first. So they go to Corellia. One, that is where we are introduced to Han Solo in the Solo film. It's on Corellia. I don't know if you picked up on that, but that's how we're introduced to Han Solo.
I did not. Which one's?
Who's Han Solo?
No, the planet.
Jackass, the
Corellia.
planet.
The Corellia, that's where they get the hyperspace thing that they steal.
They're
and
building
that's,
the ship.
That's
that's
the
where
junk
we-
The
planet,
Empire
basically.
is coming
yeah,
back.
and that's where we meet Maroc,
A fun little reference.
the Inquisitor.
There you go, everybody.
Yes,
Colin.
Maroc the
Connecting the dots.
Inquisitor, which some people think may be a reference to
Star Killer. See, no.
It's the same guy, I think.
It is. It is.
Which is, I think, the only connection.
That's the only connection you can make.
So,
But keep in mind, he also voiced Darth Maul, so maybe it's Darth Maul reincarnated.
I mean, like, right, like it's that same logic.
Okay, so like, no. I think this is some other dude that they I don't know. This is somebody else.
Yeah, if we're going into that category, Hera, by the way, Jake, is Obi-Wan's wife. Ian McGregor's wife is Hera.
Real life.
Real life.
The actress that plays Harrison Dula is Ewan McGregor's wife.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
More
So
fun
they are
facts for
literally
y'all.
the like
The power couple.
power couple of the universe. Literally.
Either way.
Oh my god.
Anyways.
But it's wild. It's
but
wild.
Yeah.
And so not only was Ewan McGregor in the Star Wars universe, but also Ewan McGregor's uncle, and then somebody else in the family, their daughter. So their daughter was in Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
She played that one girl that it was Boba Fett. Whichever one they ride the little stupid scooters or whatever, like on
Speeders.
on
speeders.
Tatooine, those little fancy scooters. You remember that in the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah.
So the chick with the dyed hair, that's their daughter.
Okay, yeah. I know. Okay.
Is
I
that
thought you were
Book of Boba
talking about
Fett?
like the speeders, like the super fast ones. No, but like the actual like scooters. Or, like the weird
yeah.
like scooter gang.
The scooters. That was Book of Boba Fett, right?
That was Boba Fett, yeah.
Yeah. So that's their daughter. So essentially,
McGregor's
whole
entire family's
Yeah.
involved somehow with George Lucas. That's
Yeah.
all you need to know.
So if you ever meet Ewan McGregor out in real life, you need to befriend him hard, so that way you can maybe get be an
Cameo.
extra or something, and then build your way up into the Star Wars universe and actually become dude. I would want to become an Inquisitor personally because they got the fucking double wielding lightsabers and they can fuck shit up.
No,
That was a fun scene, by the way, where we see. I guess skip ahead a little bit, but the Inquisitor Ahsoka fight.
With Maroc.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool too. And, they're fighting at the same time Harrison Dula and Chopper are going after the ship and trying to put a tracker on it. But yeah, that whole choreograph, and then Maroc ends up jumping onto the ship. But that, just before that, he threw the lightsaber almost like a boomerang, and it comes back and you just see Ahsoka kind of just
sidestep it without any effort.
no effort whatsoever, and it doesn't even touch her, graze her,
phase
nothing,
her or anything.
not even a little bit. I was like, okay, that was pretty badass.
that
for
was
sure.
a good scene.
That was cool.
Let me ask you this question.
Sure, ask us your question.
Do you think Balon is scared of Ahsoka? I know he kind of mentions oh man, I regret I'm gonna have to kill her. It's a shame. But do you think he's actually being naive with that? Are they probably
No.
toe to toe? Do you think they're equals or?
I think it is due respect because everybody knows that Ahsoka was trained by, at this point, Darth Vader. Like, that is intimidating by itself. Like, the only person that has canonically ever been taught by, like, the most evil thing, aside from, I guess, Darth Sidious, the galaxy has ever known for several decades,
Yeah.
is still alive and is, like, actively participating in the galaxy again.
Yeah. After I watched this scene where he's like, "Oh yeah, it'd be a shame to kill Ahsoka," he seemed a little ignorant about it, a little naive. I'm like, dude, I think you're in for a rude awakening. He seemed a little too confident.
He seems a little too confident, and this is what I have to say about it. So Ahsoka and both Baylan and Shin, they are no longer in the Jedi Order. Basically, the Jedi Order doesn't really exist anymore, to be fair. But because of Order 66, Baylan and Shin, they decided we're just going to be mercenaries. But Ahsoka left the Jedi Order by choice.
Before 66 ever happened.
Before Order 66 happened, because she was framed for something that she did not do. And that was all because of Darth Sidious, a.k.a. Palpatine. But I don't know, like, see, I think it's more of, like, respect, like, she used to be a Jedi. I used to be a Jedi, but we're no longer Jedis, official Jedis anymore, so, like...
It's kind of just reminiscing.
Their
on the
circumstances
past.
are very similar.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
there's only so many Jedis left. It's more of like
It's a shame that we have to do that. And so, like, I get what you're saying. Like, it's a cocky, ignorant kind of a vibe, but at the same time, like, it's definitely a respect thing. Like, I think it would be a good fight, but I definitely think Ahsoka would win for sure, because she has 2 lightsabers for one shorter than the other that has a shorter hilt.
That particular style is meant
But
to deal with
exactly,
multiple people at a time.
She was trained by Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. Easily the most force-wielding person in the universe. Like, easily. That came,
aside
like,
from Yoda or Luke, later on, Luke.
yeah. Like, Yoda obviously had more, but, like...
Hey, Obi-Wan beat him.
Anakin
Obi-Wan
was
beat him
created
twice.
out of thin air, essentially, with midi-chlorians. Well, that's because of Palpatine and being able to create life and impregnate Shmi just on a whim. But
you see where I was getting at? Where there's almost too much in Star Wars now to keep up.
I'm almost kind of agreeing with you now, Kenny. It's a little too much. I don't know.
there is a lot going on. But
At least it's like a continuous timeline. Not to bring in Marvel here, but like Marvel's fucking all over the place. So like,
Now
at
they
least
are,
Star
yeah.
Wars is like a history book. You know what I mean? Like history just keeps building on it, but there's not all this jumping around bullshit. I don't know. It's a little easier to connect the dots, right? You can like actually pull up a map, like show me the fucking timeline. You can kind of follow it around. Yeah, there's a lot of characters. I give you that much. There's a lot of names and planets and droids to remember.
At least just in the Star Wars cinematic universe.
Maybe I'm too
But I
much
love
of a
it, though.
fucking nerd and I'm able to remember this shit. I don't know.
I absolutely love it though. I wouldn't want it in any other way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I want to jump on to something real quick.
sure, go for it.
So it's been announced that I forget what the actor's name is, but Captain Rex will be joining the cast.
Oh, Rex is in this.
Tamura
Okay, cool.
Morrison, that's his name. He will be joining us in the Ahsoka series. I don't know when, but he is probably going to be more of like a flashback. But
Yeah.
I am super excited for Rex, because the last time we see Rex is on the Star Cruiser with Ahsoka, and that's exactly when Order 66 happens, and Rex ends up having the chip activated, if you will.
Yeah.
Do you know about the chip
He
that's
probably
inserted?
doesn't know the chip. The chip is a animated show thing.
So all of the clones at birth, a little chip was inserted into their brain, right?
Yes,
And so
correct. Excuse
basically,
That's
from the
terrifying.
beginning, Palpatine, like this was his plan, right? So
Yeah,
when
all the way back on
Order
Kamino.
66 is activated, all of the clones like
Follow
almost
the same
immediately
train of thought.
are, you know,
Told
let's
to-
kill all the Jedi.
Yep.
But some of them end up finding out that they had a chip inside them, and they end up having them removed. Captain Rex, like I was saying, was on the ship carrying Darth Maul to take him. Where were they going? I guess they were
I
going
don't
to
even
Coruscant.
remember.
I don't remember
Probably,
where they were
maybe.
going. But anyway, so on this ship is Captain Rex, Ahsoka, bunch of clones, and Darth Maul. Order 66 happens. Captain Rex, he essentially, the chip activates and he tries to kill Ahsoka. But he remembers that his buddy, Fives, that's who it is. Fives is just another clone. They all have names.
Nicknames. Fun names.
Fun names. So there's like Fives, Rex, Cody, and a bunch of others. Shout out to Cody, by the way. He's probably won't listen.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. Anyway, so they're on the ship. Order 66 happens right before he's like, oh, Fives, whatever. So basically, long story short, he has the chip removed by Ahsoka on the ship. And so it's literally Ahsoka, Captain Rex versus all these freaking clones on a ship that's basically crashing because Maul is causing all kinds of hell, like trying to destroy the hyperdrive.
Well, because he's also pissed that Order 66 applies to him.
Yes. Anyway, so the ship crashes and, you know, all the clones essentially die. Darth Maul escapes, goes off, and we don't see him for a while.
We don't see him for a while.
And they just crash on this planet, and then at the end of Clone Wars, you just see a bunch of basically a graveyard, like the ship
the
crash
helmets
in the backyard or in the background, and then there's just a bunch of helmets with the rifles, you know, like in military style. All the helmets,
It's
but all
very
the helmets,
somber.
all the helmets had like that Ahsoka orange paint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? On the helmets, so it's kind of.
It was a nice tribute that she did for, I guess, the clones that she had spent the greater part of her like young adult life
Teen life, yeah, because she came
to
in.
like protecting and like working with.
Yeah, so essentially, yeah, that's the last time we see them together is at the end of Clone Wars. So I'm excited to see Rex. I don't really know the last time they really see each other.
I know Rex is involved in Rebels,
Right.
but I don't think at that point he really interacts again with Ahsoka too much. I can't remember.
I don't think he does
It's
at
been
all.
a minute.
Anyway, but I'm excited to see Rex, man. He's a cool dude. He's probably one of my favorite clones for sure.
I look forward to it. Hopefully
Yeah.
we see him.
So if you're in, so once you're introduced to Rex, be like, oh, Colin said this clone was a cool dude. All right,
He's a good dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts, I guess? Sure.
Closing thoughts.
Where are you thinking this is going to go, Jake? That's my closing thought. I want to hear your prediction.
Ooh, where do I think it's going to go, or where do I hope
Both.
it goes?
Both. Why not? We have
All
the
right,
time.
I hope
Go for
it goes more to an Ahsoka badass series where she's just kicking some ass and
Sure.
like having this fun adventure of trying to chase down like this growing, bubbling up empire, which probably will lead to a fight with Balin and General Thrawn, etc., etc. And I would love to see this gate, this hyper jump gate, falling whales. I would love to see that as well. Where I think it's actually going to go is it's going to continue on with this training series with Sabine. And I think they're going to focus more on that and kind of build the future of the Star Wars brand with the younger generation, yada, yada, yada. I think we're going to spend more time with that. And the rest of this, General Thrawn, all that's going to just be a backstory.
Grand Admiral.
Granddad. He worked for that title.
Grand Admiral. My apologies.
Oh, jeez.
What do you guys think?
So here's my thought. There is going to be obviously there's going to be another season because they can't cover shit worth shit in just one season.
Yeah.
So there's obviously going to be another season of Ahsoka. So at the end of the season, here's kind of my prediction. We are going to see Sabine Wren basically start to open herself up to the Force. And we are going to see that progress because in the beginning, obviously, we're getting that like, okay, she's not able to do shit. I think that's going to progress more aggressively towards the end, and she is going to have more of a larger impact on the overall outcome of finding Thrawn, because Ahsoka and Sabine, they're gonna intersect, I guess, with Baylan. So Baylan and Shin are gonna end up fighting Thrawn along with Morgan.
Yeah.
So they're Morgan, Baylan, and Shin are gonna find Thrawn. They're basically going to find him at the same time when Ahsoka and Sabine get there.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be some kind of fight or something. Thrawn is basically going to, I don't know, injure somebody or kill somebody, rather it be Sabine.
Probably Hera. I'm going to call it now.
I don't think it's going to be Hera. I think he's actually going to kill Shin or Baylan, because R.I.P., but there's no more need for Baylan anymore. So maybe they'll just
get rid of him. Yeah.
Get rid of him. Maybe, I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess to follow my final thought, my second final thought, I guess, after that kind of thread there is, I would almost rather have Ezra be dead, because he does too much. Like him being alive is like a canonical problem.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kenny. I do. But at the same time, selfishly, I do want him to be alive, but there's really no need for him anymore.
No. Like, he had like his good heroic moment.
He had his moment.
Let him die in peace, thinking he did something.
You never know. Maybe they'll keep him.
If they bring him back, like,
I have a feeling that they will, as I mentioned before. Like they have to set all this up for the future. They need future content. So I have a feeling that he's going to be coming back.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it just becomes like a Night Sisters thing in season 2.
Like, I don't know.
Hard to say.
Somebody's going to die at the end of the season. I'm calling that. I think it's... I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Sabine, but I wouldn't be upset if it's Sabine. If Chopper dies, dude, I would be...
What if it's Chopper?
Freaking pissed.
They're running out of robots with good marketability.
No, they're not going to do that. Maybe Jason will die, and that's when Hera will have like a moment of like, all right, I'm going to... Because, the whole politics thing of like when they're having their little meeting, like, we're not going to actually do anything. So I think that honestly pissed off Hera. Something's going to happen. Hera's going to end up bringing Jason. He has to tag along. You can't just leave a kid somewhere. You know what I mean? Like with stranger danger. I don't know. Maybe Jason will die. Like father, like son.
Yeah.
That was a low blow. Sorry.
Yeah, well, especially since the father exploded on a giant tanker trying to... effectively saving everybody else.
Yeah, but like, if you were the commander, like, of that installation, and you decide to shoot a fuel pod essentially and blow up at least half of your installation, how would like higher ranking officials not fucking like kill you, fire you, something? Because nothing happened to her.
Well, just think that they made that choice thinking that it would kill at least 2 Jedi and, like, basically the rebel leaders all in one go.
So who was on that? So it was...
You had Hera, Sabine, Ezra, kind of...
Kanan. That was it.
Those are a lot of important people on that one ship. I would say that's worth it.
I don't know.
I digress. All right. Colin, where can the people find us if they want more of our information?
Hey, if you all want to look us up on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, please do give us a like, follow, and a comment. We have a surprise coming up here in the near future. We're actually approaching our 1-year anniversary, guys.
Woo! Congrats. We've managed to do this for a
approaching
year
1 year
now.
for entire. Yeah, we're
I'm
approaching
gonna bring
1
us
year.
a nice bottle of bourbon for that episode.
Hell yeah.
Let's
All
do
right.
it. I'm down. But yeah, just keep an eye out. Give us a like, follow, comment. If you have any suggestions for episodes, hit us up in the DMs. Other than that, you gentlemen look very handsome tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
I love both of you.
All right. We're cutting this hard cut right here.